Morning you guys, it's Karen and I have got a Deciem haul and favourites for you today. You guys had recommended that I do, I think most of the requests were for the Ordinary favourites, but some were asking for NIOD favourites, and so I thought it made sense to do a Deciem favourites, and I happen to have done a haul, some for new things that I'd like to try and review for you and some that are favourites, so it makes sense to do a haul and favourites. So I'll start off with the haul items and tell you which ones are favourites and which ones I'm going to be reviewing for you, because I think that'll be useful, and then move on to my all-time favourites. I've got two NIOD items. The first one is this. This is the low viscosity cleaning ester, and this is 240ml. You may remember I said that this wasn't going to be in my routine because it was out of my budget, and it still is, but long story short, my husband and I are on holiday. We're nearly at the end of our holiday, and we have a tradition. If there is any of our budget left, we spend it on something for ourselves. And so this and the other two items that I'm going to tell you about from NIOD are what I decided to buy for myself. So I got this low viscosity cleaning ester. I absolutely love this. I know that this is a big hit or miss. This is definitely a Marmite item. It's something you either love or hate. You might not like the greasy feeling. It's definitely got a greasy feeling. I just love how quick it is at removing makeup. And if I don't take my makeup off in the shower, then everything else that I use, even with my Garnier 2-in-1, I have to shake it and I have to go over my face quite a lot before getting my makeup off. With this, I don't need to shake it. I just use a cotton pad. It takes my eye makeup off really easily, and that's kind of the main part that I'm working on. So love that and have repurchased. I said I had two NIOD things, but I've actually got three. One of them is on, I've just put an order in, and it's for the copper amino isolate serum in 1%. The one, do you remember I was sent one and I did a review for you guys, but it actually only lasted me 3 weeks. I couldn't believe it when it ran out. I think partly that was because when I was first using it, I was sort of dripping it on my face with the pipette, and it was running down my neck, and so I probably wasted a bit, but even so I still think that will only last 4 weeks. I started applying it with a brush because one of you suggested that, and that was a lovely way to apply it, but then it ran out. So I was going to do the review, but I thought 3 weeks is just not enough. I was testing it on my neck and on my eyes, and I thought I need to extend it a little bit. So I have ordered another of the copper amino isolate serum, not because it's a favourite, just because I want to do at least be able to do a month, or 6 weeks, to be able to tell you what the results were. And then the third item is this. This is really interesting. This is the multimolecular hyaluronic complex. You may remember that I have already had one of these, but in the original version. So this is the MMHC 2. It doesn't say on it, but this is the updated version with the 15 types of hyaluronic acid in it, whereas the other one I had was from the NIOD set 1, and it was the MMHC original with 12 types of hyaluronic acid in it. Now, I can't find the ingredients of the original one, but I can tell you that I have used this just once last night, and I put it on and then took Watson out for a walk, and I was thinking about it as I was walking Watson, do I want to return this or not? Because this feels more to me like an ordinary hyaluronic acid. I don't mean the ordinary skincare, I just mean, well, it does feel more like that, but I've got the ordinary hyaluronic acid, I've got the Hylamide hyaluronic acid, and this one feels more like those, whereas the other one that was the original felt more moisturising. Now, somebody had told me that that one was oil free, but like I said, I can't find the ingredients to the original one, but I prefer the feeling of the original one. So I might see if there's any way I can buy a bottle of the original one, because I much prefer it. This one just feels much more watery. I guess it's silly really, because this one will definitely be better. It's got the 15 forms in it. It's a much more updated version of the product, but I wasn't specifically using it because my skin was dehydrated. I know that it's a good product to have in your routine. It is very hydrating, but I wouldn't include it just for that. I wouldn't include things in my routine just because they were good for you. I would include them if I enjoyed using them, if it was a pleasant experience and they did something for my skin and addressed a need. Well, I don't have that particular need of, I don't have dry skin, but with the original one, it had a vanilla scent to me. It felt like it had a little bit of oil in there maybe, or something moisturising anyway, and it just felt different to any other hyaluronic acid I've used. This one doesn't feel like that to me, and I know that people love this, so I've only used it last night. We'll see how I get on. I decided at the end of it, I thought, no, use it for another couple of nights, because I think they do have a really good return policy, and I'm actually going to email them and ask them, is there any way I can get hold of you know, exchange this for the original bottle, and we'll see what they say. Okay, that's the NIOD items I purchased. I bought one of the Hylamide products. This is the Hylamide Sub-Q Anti-Age, and I've used this twice just to see what it feels like on the skin. It feels very much like a hyaluronic acid actually, a slightly bit less watery, but it is quite a watery kind of serum. It feels maybe more like the Buffet or the Matrixyl from the Ordinary, and I'm not sure how I'm going to put this into my routine to test it out for you guys. I need to really seriously sit down today and have a look at everything I've got, what's running out, what's not, what I'm testing for what, because you know I try to make sure I'm not using too many things, otherwise I can't give you a focused review. But so far I like it, haven't reacted to it, I like the ingredients, it feels okay. Yeah, I think I would prefer to use something like this than I would using a hyaluronic acid on its own, just because of the other ingredients in this. I have also bought the Hylamide Glow. I am about a third of the way through the bottle and still kind of experimenting with that. I've got no self-tan on at the moment, and I haven't used the Hylamide Glow for about 5 days. I'm waiting for colour to disappear that I had on, and I'm then going to take some pictures and use it and take some more pictures so that I can do a proper review for you guys on that. 3 items from the haul part are from The Ordinary. The first one is the Vitamin C Suspension 30% in Silicone. So I love this. I'm nearly finished my other bottle. It's just about to go into my empties. I've really enjoyed it. I do feel like it has definitely reduced my pore size, but not only that, I love the way it feels. It fits perfectly into my routine with other things that I use. It's a great makeup base. It doesn't sting or itch like the other one did, the Vitamin C 23%. It's lovely. It's a lovely product. So really enjoy that, and I will continue to repurchase that one. And then the next 2 are new products that you guys have asked me to review, and I was interested in trying anyway. The first one is the Active Retinoid 5% in Squalane. This is super interesting to me because my feelings haven't changed about hydroxypinocolone retinoate, which is a retinoid ester. So it's not as strong as a retinoid. It's, in my opinion, not even as strong as a retinol, but it's a novel, interesting ingredient. And in their advanced 2% retinoid, I really enjoyed the product. It felt lovely on the skin. So the interesting thing for me in these is that I didn't like their Squalane. I have got their Squalane oil, and it wasn't one of the products I liked, but I have used this a couple of times. I bought the 5% because, as I say, I don't believe it to be a strong product. It's an ester. It's not, in my opinion, strong at all. And so I had no qualms about going straight for the 5%. To me, unless you've got super sensitive skin, I would go for the 5%, but they also do, I think, a 2%, a 1% and 0.5%, or is that in the retinol maybe? I know there is another percentage, I can't remember exactly what it is. I've used this a few times and I will be doing a full review on this, but so far I like it. I don't know whether I would repurchase it. It's not like a wow product, but I don't dislike it. I've had no breakouts or anything. I've had no massive reaction to it, but I'm going to use it a little bit more and do a full review for you on that one. And then the final product that I bought was the Retinol, and this is the Retinol 1% in Squalane. Again, I think that this comes in another percentage, maybe 0.5% in Squalane. Now, this one is interesting because the Retinol in the tube that was a Retinol 1% was the one that I put over my neck, and I made an almighty mess of my neck before my holiday in March, and I'm surprised it wasn't actually blistering, but it was completely red and lumpy all across my neck. I had to use steroid creams on it, etc., to get it to calm down, and that was my own fault. It was because I had used the Retinol and I had, you know, I'd forgotten or ignored the fact that I'd used it the night before. I used it again. I can't remember if I used it 2 or 3 times in a row, but I always got a reaction to that Retinol. I tried it in several different ways, mixed with different things, and it just did not work for me. So I'm interested to see how I react to this. I have only used it once. I used it last night just on my face. I didn't put it on my neck, but I'm going to be trying it in a few different ways and see, you know, I'm going to use it once and give it a couple of days and see, okay, does it work that way? I'm not going to break out in a rash, and then I'm going to use it again maybe a couple of nights and see what happens. And, you know, I will do a full review of this for you. I suspect there are a lot of people interested in this, because I know a lot of people reacted badly, as I did, to the original Retinol. And what I would say is, I still believe that the Retinol would be a better product to buy than the Retinoid because the Retinoid is an ester, and this one is proven, this one is not yet proven. And so if I was going to include one of them, it would be the Retinol, but I couldn't do that before because I just reacted so badly to the Retinol. So we'll see with this one. That's everything I bought. What I want to show you now are my favourites from the brand. And the first thing, I don't think I've ever showed on screen, it is the Hand Chemistry Retin Oil, and you can see it is down to there. And this is my second bottle. This is something that my husband and I have used since getting Watson, our dog, because, so that was 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago. We got it because we were constantly washing our hands, and still are constantly washing our hands after, you know, touching him, brushing his teeth, giving him food, especially now we give him raw food, constantly washing our hands. And both of us were like, good Lord, my hands are dry. We got this and it pretty much solved it. And what I love about this is I love the fact that it's a retinol product, but I love, or a retinoid complex, but I love the fact that it sinks in. It's an oil, so it really gives a great moisturizing feel, and you know, you really feel like you're replenishing dry skin, but it doesn't stay oily. It doesn't, you know, it's not like putting, say, olive oil on your hands and you're going to get oil on everything. You will for the first few minutes, but you don't have to wait long for it to kind of sink in, and it really does a great job. And like I said, this is the second bottle of this. I've just never, for whatever reason, showed it on screen. I think because it was part of more like a household purchase than it was for me, if you know what I mean, and as a sort of beauty item. But I do love that, and we'll continue to use that. Just to confess on this as well, I haven't even looked to see, is this got retinoid in it, retinol, retinoid ester, has it got fragrance, etc., because I tend not to with things that I'm using on my hands and body. And I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do, that is just what I do. But from the retinol point of view, I'm not really, that's like an added bonus. If it's got retinol or retinoid or whatever it's in it, that's an added bonus. I just really like the product. The next item is a NIOD item. It's a hydration vaccine. This is the only favourite I'm talking about now. Everything else is the Ordinary, but I think that's because my NIOD favourites I've talked about in that haul section. But this is the hydration vaccine, and I just love this. I love the way it makes my skin feel. It feels so luxurious, I can't tell you. I was just smelling it there. I thought I had liked the smell, but smelling it there, it smells a bit like glue, so that's a bit bizarre. But thankfully I don't smell anything when I'm putting it on my skin. But the way it feels is just amazing. The way it makes my skin feel is amazing. And like I said, it does actually also give even more help to pores. It makes them look even more sort of filled in. That isn't a great side effect for me because I don't use it in the morning, but I think it might be one of those things that, you know, if money were no object, I would use it morning and night, and I would maybe use a separate SPF on top of it or underneath it or whatever. You know, I just absolutely adore this, and I don't use it every single night, partly because if I'm using items with oil in, I'll explain all of that in my routine, but I don't use it every night, and I'm trying to sort of save this for best, if you like, because, you know, they're not inexpensive, but I do really like this, and I can see me repurchasing this for sure. Okay, on to the Ordinary, and the first thing I want to show you that's a favourite is this. This is the Glycolic Acid 7% toning solution by the Ordinary, and I really enjoy this. It's just a great toner. It's a great product to, you know, pH balance your skin, and I don't know that I can pinpoint any specific changes in my skin because of this. I just know that it's a good thing to use, and it seems to be working really well for me. And actually, by rights, I should be using salicylic acid because that's better for oily skin. But I guess because my skin isn't quite as oily, that's maybe why I'm more enjoying the glycolic acid. But I really enjoy this, and again, this is something I would repurchase. I was a bit confused there. This is the vitamin C 30%. This is the one I said I've got probably one more of this, but I've already showed you it in my haul that this is a favourite. See what we've got here. So I've got 4 bottles here. The first one is lactic acid. This is another one that I wasn't aware, I didn't think would be a favourite, because lactic acid is generally the best one for dry skin, and I don't have dry skin. It's better for like areas of flaky skin. But I love the smell of it. I love the feel of it on my skin, and it really tends to make my skin feel smoother when I use this. You can see I've used about half a bottle. It's not in my routine at the moment, but I will definitely add it into my routine, probably when I finish the glycolic acid, possibly with it, I don't know, but I don't want to use too many things at the moment. And acids to me are an added extra for me. They're something to use when, again, I'll talk about it more in my routine, but it's not It's not an essential part of my routine, but I do really like this, and if I can work it into my routine, I will. It smells like celery to me, by the way. It doesn't to my husband. Can't remember what he said it smells like, but this smells to me exactly like the Hylamide Glow, funny enough. Next is the resveratrol and ferulic acid. Not been in my routine for very long, as you guys know, but I use this in the morning. Then I use the vitamin C 30%. Then I use an SPF, which is also my day moisturiser. I love this already. Really, really enjoy this. Love the ingredients, love the fact that I'm getting that extra protection, but I love it as a product. It feels so moisturising, but it doesn't feel greasy, doesn't affect my makeup base. And I said with the vitamin C that it fits in perfectly. And before this, I was just using vitamin C and SPF in the morning. Now it's this vitamin C and SPF, and that to me is the perfect routine. And it just, from this I get a real feeling of moisture and nourishment and sort of a little bit of plumping, it feels like. Then I put my vitamin C on, which just gives me the perfect base for makeup, and then my SPF, which is my sun protection, and I'm ready to go. Absolutely love this, so I can see me repurchasing this. I wanted to mention the 2% Retinoid, which used to be called the Advanced 2% Retinoid, and I think has a different name now, and I'm not sure. I should have really ordered that one. Maybe I'll order that one today and see what that one's all about. So I've got the Gran Active Retinoid in Squalane, and I've got the Retinol in Squalane, but there was the one called the Advanced 2% Retinoid, which I loved the formula. I loved the feeling of it on my skin. It was a really beautiful product to use. I don't know whether they've reformulated it or just renamed it. Like I said, it's called something different. But I don't believe it's in Squalane, so I don't know whether it is the same formula, but I really enjoyed it. And if you didn't want to use anything harsh on your skin in terms of retinol or retinoid, if you just wanted to avoid any kind of reaction, that generally there will be some reaction with retinols and retinoids, be that even just a little bit of itching, a little bit of flaky skin. It's very hard to not have a reaction from it. Then I think that this would be a good product to use, because like I said, it's an ester, so it's much weaker. And although it's not proven, it may be proven, you know, in a few years' time, it may be proven as better than retinoid, the retinoid that we know, or retinols. And it's not a bad ingredient to use, you know, it still is a good ingredient. And this is just a lovely product. So I don't know, like I said, whether the new one is reformulated or not, so I might try and order that and do another review on that for you. And my final favourite is the vitamin F, or it's actually the ascorbyl tetrasylpalmitate in 20% in vitamin F, and this is a lovely oily vitamin C derivative, and I really enjoyed using this, and I thought that I would probably repurchase this and work this into my evening routine, because I think it's good to use antioxidants morning and evening if you can. Excuse me, went a bit gruff there. And I might well repurchase this in the future. It depends on which, if any, of the retinoid or retinol products I include in my regime. Because they are in Squalane, then it would probably replace me using this. I would have used this for the oily nature of it and the fact that it's got an antioxidant in it. But if I'm going to be using a retinoid in Squalane, I probably wouldn't then also use another oily product with it. I might well use it on the alternate night if I'm not using something else. You know, there's so many different things that I'm trying, and like I said, I don't want to pile product upon product. I want to be using a maximum of 3 things in any one area. But I do really like this, and if you still don't get on with any of their vitamin C's and are looking for an alternative, I think this one would be great. And to me, it's just as good to use it at night. There are advantages to using vitamin C at night, advantages to using it in the morning, and particularly if you're interested in, say, the EUK product, you could use that one in the morning and then use this at night. I did actually try this under makeup as well, and it was absolutely fine. You know, it's not, although it's oily, or that feels oily, it's not oily, and it doesn't make your skin oily. You know, it does just feel very, very moisturised, and I do really, really love that product. There are 2 products that I guess I could give an honorary mention that I wasn't sure whether to include in this. One is the Neck Elasticity Catalyst by NIOD, but I'll talk about that in my empties. It is a product that I really like, but I can't say that it's a favourite. And the second one is the Azelaic Acid from the Ordinary. That's a product that I loved the feeling of, I love the formula of. It's inexpensive. I think it's a great product, but for me, I didn't get any results from it. So I thought, you know, can that really be a favourite if you don't feel like it particularly does anything. I just like to use it. That seems to be a bizarre way, a bizarre favourite to have, but I do really like that formula. That's everything for my haul and favourites, but just to let you know what I will be buying, I will definitely be getting the sun protection from the Ordinary when they come out. There is also showing watercolours from the Ordinary, and I have no idea what they are. I don't know whether that is foundation or whether that is like blush or bronze. I don't feel like their descriptions ever really tell you what it is, but it's most likely I will buy them and review them for you, whatever they are and whenever they are out. I find it actually very difficult to find out the new things coming out from them, but I guess it's because I'm not on social media as a viewer very often. I post more than I actually just sit and look through, you know, say Instagram or Twitter or whatever. From NIOD, there is something, is it Chromanil? There is a product coming out that I believe is another kind of antioxidant. I may or may not buy that. I'll wait and see when it comes out what I'm using and if I have room to try something else. A lot of people have asked me if I'm going to try the RE pigment, but it's just not something I don't need to work on pigmentation. I have freckles, which are a different type of pigmentation, but you can still, you know, I could use a product to try and fade my freckles, but I don't really want to. And as far as I can see, I don't have any age spots or pigmentation that isn't freckle-like. And what happens when you use something like that as well is it wouldn't just fade my freckles, it would lighten my skin, and that's not something I want to do. And so I don't really have a great way of testing that for you. Know, I'm not the ideal person to test it for you. I did think, well, shall I order it and just see what it feels like and then review it from that point of view, but I think that's silly. So unfortunately that's not something I will be reviewing unless I hear of somebody saying that there is an amazing side effect that I need. If somebody says, you know what, it works for crow's feet, then I'm there, I'll buy it and give it a go. But for now it's not on the list to buy. I really enjoyed this video and found it useful, but I think the video that goes with this that you will find equally as useful is my empties and fails video, which is Deciem empties and fails, in which I talk about the products that I've maybe not mentioned in here. That's everything for today. I'll tell you what I've got on my face. I'm wearing the Bare Minerals Bare Pro Foundation in 05 Sateen. That's the colour I bought. I bought the full-size bottle, absolutely adore it, and I would like to buy another colour in that actually. I'm going to see if I can get some testers today to see what other colours there are for, you know, for matching when I'm using self-tan, etc. On my eyes, I've got the Viseart palette. I can't remember the name of it because I've mixed all mine up. It's one of the little, what are they called? The Viseart Theory palettes, the little Theory palettes, but I've mixed them all up. But that's where that comes from. On my cheeks, I've got Regal Mauve by Nabla Cosmetics. I think this, I haven't watched anything back yet of me in this kind of makeup, etc. But I feel like I've achieved that sort of bronzed glow look. Either that or I look ridiculously painted on and it doesn't look right. But I've used the photography fluid by NIOD, which actually I didn't even think to include in my favourites. But the photography fluid 8%, not the 12%, is one of my favourites. I didn't even think to include that, but I've got that on today, sort of across this part of my face, and like I said, I feel like I achieved that sort of glowy look, hopefully anyway. And then on my lips is the Too Faced liquid lipstick in Child Stars. That's everything. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.